Hello, welcome back to another episode of Awakening with Soulspirational. I'm Tish, and again back in the studio, Steve Young, Rick Stetler. And for this episode, we are going to talk about spiritual artist. um, so I'm going to begin with Reiki, and I know that there are going to be some other Reiki masters that may totally disagree with me, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That said, as a Reiki teacher, a Reiki practitioner and teacher, we have to learn a foundation from somewhere, right? So a Reiki student, just like I did when I was a Reiki student, you take a class, you learn the foundations, where to lay your hands, whatever it is that you're taught in any particular class, because it is taught a little differently. But here's the thing. Reiki is a Japanese healing art. And then I just want to kind of circle art. Because I think sometimes, especially for a new student, and if I'm talking about Reiki specifically, we can talk, I think, about just about anything here. That we are learning from the teacher, we are learning from other people in class. If we were to all sit down with a blank canvas, but all of us were going to draw a sunflower. Now, if the instructor of the class is saying, draw it like this, like I just want a singular sunflower on the page, I'm getting busy getting into the instructor's instructions, right? Of this is how I want you to create it. And that's fine when we're learning to, again, to get the foundations, maybe to see the contrast of something, if it's, However, once we get an understanding, whether it's the different tools within Reiki, the different processes, or with painting or fill in the blank, that is where I think it's really important then for the practitioner, the artist, to step into their own energy and to paint that sunflower the way that your soul, your internal vision sees that sunflower. To allow your soul to be guided during a Reiki session, to allow your spiritual artist self to really step forward and to shine through. And you're going to know when that is. Your soul is going to let you know once it feels as though it has that basic foundation for you to springboard off of, or whether it's writing or whatever that may be. So that was a really long foundation, but whatever you guys want to.
Yeah, I think much like how you talked about laying the foundation first. Oftentimes, even in artwork, if somebody doesn't know how to paint a picture, once they're given the baselines, it's free reign. And maybe
And why we use the different brushes, the thickness, and yeah.
And maybe at first coloring outside the lines looks messy to someone, but somebody else sees the beauty in it, and the next thing you know, that person feels good about how they're doing their work, and they continue doing it that way. And I think a lot of the artistry in this world and in this lifetime works that way, where it's you just need someone to help you find that light within yourself and that spark within yourself, and you take it from there wherever you want it to go, that shows your unique abilities and your unique gifts, and you make that all your own. I know for myself, energy healing is fantastic, and I love doing Reiki, and a lot of my spiritual gifts often come through in a sense where I want to share the spoken word and the written word. So it's not just about hands-on Reiki. I often find myself saying, I need to get messages out to the people through the form of blogs on my website, or through the form of text messages or direct messages, because it's the word and how this energy comes through my filter and the methods that I feel innately are best for me in sharing that message with other people.
We had a video recently on authenticity. And here's the beautiful thing is when we take whatever it is that we're doing, if we're writing, if we're doing Reiki, if it's photography, whatever it may be, if somebody says, "Oh, wow, that looks or feels very similar to," it may be a recognition that somebody's picking up that you are still in that emulation energy, right? If you are you know if you're reading a book, if it sparks something in you, right? Because there's some type of an alignment between your energy and that of the author. And if an author is speaking from their authentic self, from their passion, from their whatever that happens to be, the reader is more apt to want to continue to read because they're feeling into that. So sometimes I'll with certain clients, it may be that they gave up painting or writing or whatever that was years ago. That there be a nudge now to get back into their form of art. And when, most people I'm sure have heard of art therapy, but I think like when an artist is putting their soul into a painting, for example, I think the average person isn't paying attention to what we work with, with energy, right? But so art is subjective, as we know. So we could walk into an art gallery, for example, and it may be that, the friends that are with us, like they really don't care for a particular painting, but my soul gravitates towards it. It may be that my energy, my soul is acknowledging the pain, the suffering, or the joy, the excitement that came through the artist at the time of the painting. So it's again like that alignment. We are feeling into the beauty of the artist. So even with Reiki, having that foundation, but just allowing my hands to just like, I'm authentic with it. I just allow myself to go, and it feels awesome. And if you haven't, if you're not familiar with Steve's blog, theindigoeye.com, you can find them there. And so like reading yours and feeling your passion as you are writing, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you wait until like you feel the energy, you feel that passion, you've got that excitement or whatever it is.
I don't write blogs unless I'm inspired to share specific messages. Sometimes you can correlate that to channeling, and other times it's just a little blip of an inspiration. And that's what my blogs are born from, and that's actually what these combination videos are born from, where we had these passionate multiple hour long discussions that we decided to turn into sharing with everybody. And it's when specific topics come up and I'm like, we have to talk about this, and why not share that with everybody else, because it's flowing through us. You think about things like musicians and music and how certain songs can make you feel a certain way, and the actual spiritual artistry within that. We don't often think about spirituality when we're listening to music, but pay attention to your body when you're listening to something that resonates with you. Oftentimes you see babies start to dance, or you'll see someone start to cry. Sometimes it's from sadness, but a lot of the times it's just feeling resonance with the music. I know for myself, it probably sounds weird to a lot of people my age, but when I hear songs with violins in them, it moves me. I gravitate towards it. I have a pull towards it. I feel it inside of me. I open up and actually start feeling more inspired to things like writing blogs when I'm listening to music like that, because it's something that really resonates with my soul.
And I want to talk more specific about the hands. I mean, obviously, you don't have to have hands. It's just the majority of us do, so we're able, have. They're an extension of us. But there are others that find their passion, using their mouth or using their feet or whatever that may be. That being said, the hands, like how beautiful, right? It's a form of expression. It's whether we are using it to write, whether we are using it to paint, whether we are using it to play the violin or the flute or the drums, whatever that happens to be, we are expressing ourselves through these beautiful things called hands. And it's so like where you are picking up the violin, in certain songs, it's like I can really feel an alignment with the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll find myself, that's what I'm tapping to, are the drums. But it, like, we have the different things that are aligning with our soul at any given time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when the hands are in motion, when the hands are moving, I find it so like the energy, and we shake hands, right? Like this exchange of energy.
If you take
Just that creativity.
if you take the energy in the hands back to Reiki, to circle back, if you are someone who's never experienced Reiki before and you have a Reiki practitioner walk up to you to describe this to you, because this happened with my own younger brother the first time I spoke with him about Reiki, he had absolutely no idea what it was. And I was just trying to explain to him what it was, and I put my hand up near his forehead, and for him in that moment, for whatever reason in that moment, to experience the exchange of energy from my hand to his forehead without me actually even touching him, the space between and the energy between, and that awareness that happens in that moment, that there's this passing and exchanging of energy from your hands to somebody else, and how that's actually always there, and then how that parlays into something like playing an instrument or writing a blog or a book or playing a sport, whatever it is that you're expressing your energy through in your own unique way.
And it actually, like, and I'm so sorry if I keep cutting you off. Are you trying to say something?
No, I'm just listening.
Because I think about, I recently did a meme about the alignment. So if we think about the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? So the spirit maybe is resonating with those violins, right? And actually, I'm gonna pull that back with myself even for Reiki, because it's easier for me. So my hands being that extension, right? So in my mind, it's like I'm hearing this symphony. So it's this resonance of my spirit and my mind, right? So I'm hearing a symphony as I'm working with the energy with a client. So my mind is aligned with my spirit, and then my hands are an extension.
You become a conductor
Yes.
of the energy.
And I feel that regardless if it's writing, whether somebody's typing or if they're scribing with a pen, like Rick, if we are painting, whatever your art is, and maybe it is aromatherapy. So as you're working with, or an herbalist working with the different herbs, this is what fascinates me. I don't have tattoos because I'm a baby, but I don't like needles. But it fascinates me. I noticed decades ago at this point. I forget. I think we were in Tennessee or something. There's a tattoo artist, and the way that I was watching him work on somebody, and there was a word that he was tattooing on the person, and it was like this beautiful cursive, right? But then when he's writing up the receipt book, like it didn't have good penmanship, and it was just like, wow, because it was it wasn't
Inspired.
because he's seeing the words as an art instead of what it is, like I'm just writing it down, like, no, this is my creativity that is flowing, some of the most beautiful lines, flow of energy. And I think it's fascinating, even like, and I know sometimes they'll use like the outline or something, but for those that are doing free flow, this just fascinates me with artists, because if you've been watching, it's stick figures. And when somebody can see that finished product, and then they just create, their hands just go, because their mind, their spirit, and their hands are in that alignment. And it just, God, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You can definitely tell when it's spiritual, even if the person doing it doesn't consciously realize it's spiritual. You can feel the flow of their soul behind that artistry.
And I'm thinking about some of the popular great singers too that, maybe they're a little nervous, behind stage, but they come out and that their mind, their body, being their voice just opens up and it is just like, oh my gosh. And it's like the fear leaves them because they are in such a state of beautiful alignment. And that's the same with anything. If you have a passion for something, because I'm even thinking like tarot cards. Allow your passion to like read the cards the way, yeah, get the foundation, and then otherwise read them in your style that feels right for you with your client. Yeah. Go ahead, Rick.
Oh, well, I'm kind of. Well, I mean, my particular art happens to be channeling archangels, ascended masters, um, spirit guides. Uh, but when I'm doing Reiki, I've noticed that always, 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 the archangel Raphael is with me every time. And I ask Michael to come in, and I ask Gabriel to come in at times, and they just work so well with me. And when it comes through my pen, I'm a scribe. I'm hearing it in my mind, I'm writing it down, and I'm not just saying this, but sometimes I get messages that blow my mind.
Do you find that your hand is just an extension of your alignment between your spirit and your
It
mind, where it
is.
just flows?
It is, and when the message is over, and I was doing this the other last week, so I was doing a reading for somebody. I said, now watch my hand. They literally take the pen out of my hand. It's not me, it's nothing magical. It's just when they're done, they do their angelic sign off, and then the pen just comes right out of my hand. And I said, I said to her, see this? And she said, yeah. And she was just blown away by it too. It's like sometimes I really got to pinch myself because of the art that I do. It is just, it's profound, it's amazing, and sometimes I have to pinch myself. And it's real. It's as real as any of us on this screen. It's as real as you are at home. And it's just an amazing thing and a privilege to be able to do this. So, I don't know. I mean, like with my Reiki, I'm going to start, invoking other angels to come in. And that kind of thing, because that's my thing. I mean, Steve's got his artistry of his own with his writing and his blogs. Tish, when she's doing Reiki, it's like watching a conductor on and doing a symphony, and she's probably not even aware of it. But for the first couple of years I knew her, it's just like, God, this is just beautiful to watch, and it is. It was stunning. It's just like, how come I don't look that good when I'm doing Reiki? That's just the way it is.
Because I found my art.
Yeah. Well, you see, in my art is in the scribing, the writing, and I'm a Reiki master too. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to start invoking the angels to come in. Raphael and other ones. Raphael happens to be the healing angel, so that's why he works with me all the time, and it's awesome. And we have a conversation between the two of us while I'm doing Reiki. We're talking with each other, and I get first person messages from the angels. It's not contrived or anything like that. It's just I don't even know how to describe this. But when I'm working with Raphael during Reiki, he's talking to me. I'm talking to him. We're working stuff out. We're doing these things. And when I'm scribing out a message for somebody, no matter what angel it is, they're working directly with me, and they're working with my client through me. But I'm asking questions. If I'm writing down something, I'm kind of like, ask them this, ask them that. Okay, great. And so we do, and it's just a magical thing. And like I said, sometimes I'm just in misbelief. But what a blessing. It really is.
And in all of these instances where this artistry is flowing, it's because consciously or not, we've allowed it to flow.
Yeah.
We haven't forced it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And not only have we not forced it to happen, but sometimes we can feel off and we can feel disconnected from it, and that's when it's not coming through. I could sit there and want to be inspired to write a blog, but nothing's happening. Writer's block, you know. That's when we're letting ego get in the way, or when we're disconnected from being present or not really in alignment with ourselves, and maybe we just need to take a little time, a few moments to tap back into just meditating or taking some deep breaths and realigning and allowing those pieces and parts to flow within us again.
Yes.
And what's really cool is once you realize what your art is, then you can go with it and it just flows. There's no thinking about it. There's nothing like that. It just happens. And then that's when you know you're doing your art, really.
And sometimes it takes a while
It does.
to find.
It does.
And that's what I think the beauty of life is. There are so many different doors that we can knock on or open, and the soul knows too. Sometimes it's a matter of just right now isn't the right time. That there's some other place, something else for us to do in the moment. But when we do find, like, I'm really excited about this, and I really want to do this. When you allow yourself then that it doesn't have to be like how Tish does it or how Rick does it or how Steve does it. You get your foundation and just let the ego go and allow spirit to flow and let it work through you. Be that spiritual artist, even if you're playing the drums. Losing yourself within that space. Again, the alignment of spirit, mind, body. And it's just the beauty that comes out. And then, if we are afraid of liberating ourselves from expectation, from the lines, so to speak, if we don't free ourselves from having to be contained from somebody else's perspective or from their class or their instruction. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about brain surgery here. That's science. That's different because all of a sudden I'm, spiritual. But if you allow yourself just to breathe and open up from whatever those original that original container was within that instruction, to breathe out from that. Just allow it to open up for you, to color outside the lines, so to speak. And you may find like, oh, I really don't want to do this after all. And it may just very well, you are the Picasso of that thing. At least for the people who see it and recognize it, because again, I think that is really important. Of whether a person is conscious or not, of the fact that they are sensitive to energy. We are this receptor of energy, whatever I'm trying to say. So we are picking up whether we are consciously aware of that or not. And this is where we are touched, whether we're reading one of Steve's blogs and we want to cry, or we're like, oh my God, that is it. Or whether we are getting a scribe reading from Rick and we could just it's almost like the angels just touched us through Rick's hand. You know what I mean? And this is wherever you go for arts and crafts, or you go to listen to somebody speak. You're going to be calling the right people, but if you contain yourself, if you are afraid of opening up and being authentic to who you are, there are other people out there who may not recognize your light if you're hiding it.
I want to add to that too, because this is something that I feel personally. To complement what you were talking about with the container, don't allow containers that exist in this physical life to push you into thinking you need to find out what this thing is that you resonate with for spiritual artistry. What I'm getting at with that is making a living and creating income. To not let yourself sit here and think about the container of creating income off of your spiritual gift, but to just focus on what it is that speaks to you through your soul, period. and let that flow without any preconceived notions around it about, I need to find the thing that's going to make me money because that's how this system works. It should be more about, what is it that my soul wants me to experience here in this life, period. And just experiment and play with it until you find out what makes you come to life. I think it's arguable that some of the people sitting in here in this room may not have wanted to create videos of themselves to talk about things. But when we have these discussions and we light up inside of these spiritual topics and we know that they're helpful to people, and this is a medium that we crack open of wanting to share on, it comes out and it flows. And the reservations about putting ourselves on video go out the window, because this is our soul speaking to us saying, share it in this fashion.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been on fire during this whole conversation. I mean, I'm thinking about what we all do as our own individual things, and then as I'm talking about mine, I'm not trying to be precocious or anything like that. It just flows, and it just feels so good, and it's not contrived at all. It just comes, and that's the way it is with all of us.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with creating income or making a living, just like I wouldn't say that.
I was gonna.
Just like I wouldn't say that there's anything wrong with seeing the templates that exist out there, the mediums, like posting on social media or making videos or getting a traditional job. There's nothing wrong with any of these avenues. It's for you to experience and explore.
And from sitting where I sit, I know for me, my purpose for a couple of decades has been helping people en masse. And I didn't know how I was going to achieve that. But I listened to my soul. I listened to the nudges. And even when I started Soulspirational, I had no idea. I still don't know what the end result is going to be. I keep it open because I do what I love. And if it's meant to help sustain me financially, that's great. But it's not the number one, my main reason for doing what I'm doing. It's because it feels right with my soul. I am in alignment with it. And when I'm able to help others like that, like what an incredible blessing. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong either making an income, because there is this stigma that you can't do what you love and make an income. And that's why we have sayings like the starving artist. They have put their heart and soul into their writing or their painting or whatever it happens to be. And just know that if all is in alignment, you'll be led. And not that it's an easy thing, but we find ways to be able to share our art when we are in alignment, by and large. All right, so we are at time, so we are going to wrap this up. Thank you all. Or was there a quick, you guys good?
I think we're good.
Okay, so thank you all for watching us tonight. If you have any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, until next time, thank you, be well, and namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night.